Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be talking about business in Turkey from a global standpoint and a human resource standpoint. Let's begin with an overview of Turkey. Turkey has been on the top 20 economy list for the last few years, like 10 years, and their GDP right now is 850 billion US dollars. It took quite a long time for them to get to that level, as in 2012 they tripled their GDP to what makes it 850 billion now, and they've been gradually progressing and increasing ever since. The focus of the country is to reduce poverty levels, increase the standard of living, increase the overall well-being of the residents of Turkey, and just improve every aspect of their economy. They focus on providing different public services and improving public services. They also created something called credit guaranteed funds for small to medium class businesses to provide the funds that would help them improve and become industry leaders of tomorrow. One of the major focus of Turkey's government is to increase their microeconomic infrastructure and provide more sustainable investments, businesses, and ideas for the country that would help the country grow for the next 10 years. So that's the major focus right now of the government. They are also improving importing and exporting of goods by regulating the standard and quality of goods that are being imported and exported out of the country. The Turkish government is also implementing different public and private policies that would help make sure or guarantee investors that a stable platform to grow and make revenue in the Turkish economy. Also, they are also focused on creating different amenities, sustainable amenities in water, electricity, good roads, and numerous other amenities that would therefore improve the standard of living for the Turkish people and also the immigrants that are coming into the Turkish land. Politically, Turkey has been shifting from a much more democratic government to some type of autocratic form of government, and this has been scaring a lot of investors. So the World Bank, in partnership with Turkey, is guaranteeing investors of a much more stable economy with adequate policies to protect them and guarantee their growth. The World Bank is also guaranteeing a GDP growth for the next few years of 5% in Turkey, which is a very good news. So Turkey right now is probably one of the best places to start a business, depending on what sector or industry you are in. Now let's talk about the overview of Turkish national culture. First, Turkey has been historically shaped by the Islamic religion and the Muslim ethnic identity. So Turkey is located in the close to Middle East, east of Europe, west of Asia, and every neighboring country around there are highly influenced by the Islamic religion. So their laws, their political rules, their political affiliation is all based around the Quran, is all based around the Islamic religion. They even incorporate the Sharia law from the Quran into their day-to-day lives and day-to-day beliefs. So if you want to invest in places like that, you have to be aware of that and be able to operate in such an environment. Second, contemporarily speaking, they have also been influenced by high levels of immigration, minority non-Islamic Arabs, and Kurds. So, you know, it's not just Islamic people that are in Turkey. There are also natives, Kurds, and non-Islamic Arabs, and majorly immigrants coming from Africa and neighboring countries in Turkey. So the government is supposed to be able to bring these people together and make sure the country operates as one. So if you want to move into Turkey and invest in Turkey, you have to be able to operate in a multicultural environment. There's problems with this kind of environment, therefore, because there's tension among these different ethnicities, especially the migrant ethnicities that refuse the Islamic religion. You know, many people move to Turkey because the economy is kind of blossoming right now. Everything is kind of growing. So, but they refuse to accept the Islamic religion, therefore leading to tension among these people. So, Turkey is also a multinational society right now. It's a melting pot of many ethnicities. So therefore, you have to be able to think outside the box and be able to operate with numerous ethnicities. The language being spoken in Turkey is, you could say English, Arabic, but there's also many other languages being spoken right now due to the immigration levels increasing to drastic levels. So if you want to invest in Turkey, you got to be very aware of that and plan on hiring people that speak multiple languages. Their national culture is being affected by both politics, economic issues, social cultural issues, and furthermore. So if you want to operate in Turkey, and understand their culture. You have to know their political things that factor into that, their economical issues, and also social cultural issues that you need to be aware of. Now let's talk about the overview of the business climate in Turkey. First, strong policies under the World Bank Country Partnership Framework, also called the CPF, supporting growth in the energy, urban development, transportation, labor market, health sector, and the technology sector of Turkey. So the World Bank is partnering with Turkey to focus on those sectors. So if you're an investor and you have ideas or businesses in those sectors, you're going to have a very strong financial backing by the Turkish government and by World Bank and different financial associations. World Bank and Turkish government are working to catapult economic recovery in those listed sectors. Erdogan government creating different financial sources to help expand and improve the success of ongoing investments and future investors. Partnership with the Asian Infrastructure and the Investment Bank, European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, and numerous other associations are partnering with Turkey and neighboring economies to grow the Middle East, bring in more revenue, bring in more investment, improve the standard of living, and make sure that countries around the Middle East are even better than the Western country like America. So this is the major focus of the Turkish government, and they're also focusing on other things as well, like domestic and international competition with the manufacturing of low to medium and high level technology. For instance, in India, the last few years, the government of India subsidized every incoming or imported technology into India, therefore making it affordable for the people of India. And now they can access different forms of technology. They are probably even at the forefront and the top of every technological innovation in this 21st century. So this is also something the Turkish government is willing to implement by making sure some technologies are being manufactured in Turkey and are very affordable for the residents, citizens, and immigrants in Turkey to be able to learn about these things, learn how this technology influence the 21st century. Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, preferential trade agreement between participating economies in and around the Middle East. So basically, Turkey and a group of other economies are partnering together in order to ensure that there's cheaper tariffs, cheaper exchange of goods, and just a better trade among these countries, and ensure that things are getting better and money is being made by individual countries, specifically Turkey. There are also negatives involved in the business climate of Turkey. The first negative and major negative is the authoritarian political orientation scaring away investors. You know, people coming from the West, coming from North Europe, we don't really operate with such authoritarian and controlling political rule and policies. But that's different in the Middle East. However, the World Bank and different financial organizations are guaranteeing better macroeconomical policies regardless of the political orientation of Turkey. So basically, they're guaranteeing that there will be implementations of policies that would help and improve the standard or the economic growth of numerous industries, especially those industries I mentioned earlier. Another thing to note that is a negative is low-income society is still prevalent in Turkey. So basically, Turkey is a growing or developing country, doing better than many African countries, but there's still societies with low income. Many of these societies in Turkey, and when you want to invest, you have to be aware that they might not be able to afford certain products. They might not be able to operate at certain level just because they don't have the financial capability to do so. So you have to, as a business investor, you have to be aware where you're going in Turkey in order to maximize your profit. Or if you're looking for cheap labor, you have to be aware where you want to get that from. The third is inequality leading to higher incidence of crime in Turkey. So, you know, Turkey is also a very developed, they're developing. However, because they're not like the West, there's a high level of crime and it's not easily managed. It's not like you can dial 911 and the police is going to come and help you figure out your situation. So if you want to invest in Turkey, you have to be aware that there's some environments or some places where there's a high level of crime, even in today's in today's 21st century time. The last thing you need to focus on: diverting state resources to help support immigrants into the country. The Turkish government is diverting some of their tax earnings and finances to help support the immigrants, to make sure that immigrants coming into the country are also on a stable footing and able to operate like the citizens of Turkey. So this is different from the West, like America, where you can't give an immigrant a job until you have tested the citizens of America to see if they can really handle that specific type of job. But in Turkey, benefits is shared among all. So if you're an investor, you have to be aware that you're getting the same benefits as those people that are just migrating into the country afresh. So it could be a good thing, because if you're looking to start a new life, you're sure that you can get the best treatment and the best benefits and the best support from the Turkish government. However, sometimes as an investor, you want certain perks. I guess the only perk you'll be getting is a stable foundation for your finances, which is the best perk ever that you can get. Now let's talk about the HR specific challenges that a multinational enterprise might face. The first challenge an enterprise might face is the gender gaps in the labor market, discrimination against the female geographic for certain jobs. So basically, in the Middle East, Eastern Europe, West Asia, most countries around there favor the male more than the female. They give all power to the male, politically favoring the male, even educationally. There are some things the females from that region are not entitled to. And what this means for a business is the economy is divided into two sectors, male, female. And if you need talent to carry out certain business ideas, certain plans, you have to focus your talent acquisition from the male sector, because the females are not skilled enough, they are not well experienced, not well educated, and things like that, which has therefore reduced your talent pool to a small group of people, which is the male from Turkey. And this is very terrible, because in America, there's freedom of everything. Females and males, everyone are entitled to doing anything. And that has led to a new generation of young talent, both female and male. But in Turkey, that's not the case. There's a very big gender gap and a very big gender inequality going on right now in the Middle East, specifically Turkey. The second HR specific or multinational enterprise problem is the increasing gap between the educational sector and the labor market. So basically, anytime a talented individual from Turkey has acquired adequate skills to do certain things or work in certain sectors in the economy and in different businesses, they decide to leave Turkey and move to America or move to North Europe and acquire the jobs that would pay them for that skills they have. Because most of the times when investors go to Turkey, they are looking for cheap labor. It doesn't matter what type of skill level the person needs to have. It doesn't matter how difficult the job or task is. They are just looking for cheap labor. And that has led to many skilled individuals in Turkey traveling out of the country to get better paying jobs, which has also created a very big gap between the skilled educated labor market, work market, and the actual jobs that are available. Therefore, if you want to invest in Turkey or start a business, you must consider training your talent. That is a very huge part you need to focus on, because many times your talent has little to no experience and you need to train them in order to carry out your task. Anyway, their education is really solid, so you don't need to be afraid that the person is inept in certain educational fields. However, you need to be able to train them to do what you want them to do, to be able to carry out your goals and your ambitions and your plans. One other thing is MNEs finding it difficult to acquire or merge with domestic companies. This is very important, because if you're trying to do a merger and acquisition, you have to be aware that people are finding it difficult to merge with these companies, because they still have to train every single employee from that company they're trying to acquire. So why not start from scratch? Why not just go there and start from the beginning? So companies are finding it difficult to merge with existing domestic Turkish companies, which is a very important point to note. Another factor a human resource specialist or international human resource manager might face in a multinational enterprise is the consumption variable between countries in the Middle East and countries from other continents around the world. Specifically in Turkey, most people, like I said before, do not have the financial capabilities to afford certain luxury products, afford certain standards of living, and things like that. So if you want to manufacture certain goods, start certain business in Turkey, you need to be aware that most of these people have never used your product before. They've never experienced your product. They haven't consumed your product. So you need to educate them as to what your product is, how it works, how to use it, and which sector or which class of people will be able to use the product, how to manufacture the product. And that goes back to what I said before, training your talent. You need to be able to align your company's goals with the skill level, the skill sets of the Turkish people. So you have to be able to educate them, make sure they are very aware of what your intentions are, what your products can be used for, how to make the products, and things like that. Something else you need to focus on are the policies to help retain your Turkish talent. So when you hire Turkish employees, you don't want them to run away to other countries and take the knowledge they've acquired from you along with them. So you need to create policies in your business that would help them stay, that will retain your employees, make sure they love your company, make sure they are willing to stay as long as you need them. This comes with benefits plans. This comes with numerous cultural incentives that you need to implement as well. This comes with numerous health incentives and things like that would help employees want to stay in your company, especially want to stay in Turkey and not travel out of the country. Numerous times in India and all these developing countries, talents have acquired a lot of resources and talent cheaply, and they move to other countries. So you want to prevent that. So you must implement policies to prevent that. I can keep mentioning all the challenges that you will be facing, but I'm also writing a research paper. And if you need this research paper, feel free to request that for me. But for now, thank you for watching this video. Have a wonderful day. Bye.